Welcome to Conversations in Between the Realms, a podcast where the mystical meets the everyday. Join Amanda Nova and Beth Renov each week as we dive into the profound journey of awakening, sharing our experiences, insights, and the lessons that guide us toward our divine purpose. Together, we awaken and guide our souls and others, exploring the magic of living in the 3D while staying connected to the higher realms, embracing the challenges, and celebrating the growth. You've been guided here for a reason. Trust in the journey and let the unfolding begin.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Conversations in Between the Realms. I'm Amanda Nova and I'm here with Beth Renov, and you're kind of getting us in between a conversation because we started chatting and I was like, okay, we have to record. We're just kind of talking about what's happening in the collective, with everything that's been going on. And I just think, we kind of go episode to episode and we talk about different themes and we talk about different things. But I think just kind of tuning into what's happening right now is just as important to just talk about what's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you were just talking about being present and like making room for stuff so we can receive. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the present right now.
Yeah.
Because it feels really intense. Like there is it feels psychotic, like the energy.
Yeah.
And like Joshun talked about like cosmic and cultural and like wars on every level. And I feel like this is part of it. And you're seeing people like we can't disagree anymore. It's just like, okay, I'm going to assassinate you. Like that's crazy.
Oh,
Whatever your feelings about people, like murder is not the way,
No.
and you don't have to like people. You can hate them if you want, but that does not mean take action. And now with social media, like I did not know what I was watching yesterday, and I'm not all about like having a trigger warning, like with everything.
No, there should be. There should be.
No, there should be a trigger warning.
No, there
with
should
this.
be.
Like when you are watching violence, there needs to be like, hey, you're about to see something really sensitive that could impact you. And there was nothing. And I watched Charlie Kirk get murdered and
oh my God,
assassinated, Jesus. And blood pouring out of his neck. And it was literally, it made my stomach turn, and I just like wasn't okay. And the fact that people just like went on with their day, made videos like cheering it on.
Oh my God.
It's like such a sickness of society, like in our country and globally. Like I just feel like we are so desensitized to hate and violence. And it's just like, I think this is why we are here doing our work, because we need to like rewind a bit or move forward, whatever it is. But in this present moment, there is this feeling of like collective mental illness. It feels like there's a collective borderline on both sides. It's not one political side or the other.
No, it's humanity. It's humanity. Yeah.
But I think there are the extremes of humanity. I think there's a lot of centrist people, but I think the people on the fringes it's like a horseshoe effect. So it's like they kind of come together. And it's like they're very borderline. They split. If you don't like something someone says, they're all good or they're all bad. Then they become evil. Then they become horrible. We are shaming people for not thinking the same way as us. These people are acting very impulsively with risky behavior, killing people. Feelings of emptiness, and feelings of abandonment. They want to belong to something. So if someone says, oh, they're all evil, you can't, you're a bad person if you think like them, or if you can see nuance in them. And then you feel like you have to belong, and it's like you feel like you'll be abandoned if you don't go with groupthink and crowd mentality.
Right.
And I think that is the sickness. And I was just talking to a friend, and I'm like, it really feels like there's a collective borderline personality going on.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think that so much of this is, yes, why a lot of people are waking up why there's so many things, like when we talk about, like every single week when we're talking about there's so much going on in the energy, there's so much happening, like those downloads that are coming from like the celestial bodies and the celestial beings, when we talk about all that stuff, like they're trying to help in that way, right? But
Yeah.
like it's also the impact of that is like people can't handle that like much energy, right? So like I think that's also like making people a little bit crazy. I think that's like also part of it, just like on like an energetic level. I also think that our generation is so desensitized to trauma. Like think about the fact that like we're coming up on September 11th. Like we witnessed that as children. Like that's, you know, we were in
Yeah.
school when that happened. We witnessed that. Like that, we literally watched that on our TVs. Like we saw that happen. Like from there, there's been trauma after trauma after trauma. And I think that like there's no
Hmm.
value for human life anymore. Like the
Right.
fact that somebody is like, just like, okay, well, like, I don't like what this person's saying, I'm just going to shoot them, is like, this
Right.
is not a fucking video game. Like, this is not a
Right.
video game. Like, and I just think that that's what's so insane. And, you know, it's interesting. One of our listeners had messaged me yesterday and actually asked, because I had done the Joshun channeling about the eclipses and all that stuff, and asked me what their thoughts were, like Josh Shoon's thoughts and the council on violence. And I haven't checked in yet or asked them about that, but I am curious, like how they feel about violence and like what is happening, like what is all of the fighting and things that are going on, because it does feel like it is so much larger than just
Yeah.
us.
It is. It's collectively. It feels like we're at a boiling point. I'm gonna be honest, it's a little scary.
It's
I
scary.
I don't have the feeling of like things are gonna be okay. you know, um, I don't know how much it'll affect our day to day life. And I think that's part of why people have been desensitized. Is like there's not much you could do. And that's a really helpless feeling. So it's like turn inward, right? And I'm not gonna judge anybody who does that because I get it. It's we are not meant to see this much. Our brains are not meant to process this much, and but there is this thing where it's like you lose a little bit of humanity, and we
Mm-hmm.
dehumanize other people, and it's just so crazy. But you feel this boiling point on like an individual and a collective, but it's always darkest before the dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to usher in an era like this new earth kind of stuff that we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah.
um but I think it's gonna get worse before it gets
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's kind of like a burn it all down before we rebuild type of situation. And I do think that is like, again, like why so many people are in this awakening process, why so many people are going through these transformations, these spiritual awakenings, these energetic awakenings. I think so that they are prepared, so that we are prepared. You know, we talked yesterday, you and I, about being early adopters to all of the metaphysical stuff, to all the energetic stuff. And a lot of our listeners, all of our listeners are also, you guys are early adopters to all of this stuff, right? Like we are the first, we are really leading the charge in all of this. And it is because when this new earth is ushered in and when we are standing there in the ashes of everything that is happening and has happened, we are going to be the ones leading all of the new earth. Like, this is what we're going to be doing. This is why we are here. We're going to be saying, okay, we're going to take the ones who have fallen, we're going to take all those ashes, and we are going to rebuild this better place. And it is why we are here on earth right now. Because I'm telling you, like, as a light being in a physical body, like, I don't want to fucking be here. I would
Yeah.
rather be in the ethers, man. I would rather be in Pleiades and on the stars. Like it
Right.
sucks here. It fucking
It's
sucks.
so
I'm always like, Joshua, I wanna go home. And he's like, nope, you got stuff to do. Like we agreed on
right.
this. Like we've talked about this. It's your turn. And I'm like, God damn it. I don't want to
Right.
be here. You know, but like that is
Yeah.
why we are here. We have to remember who we are, what we came here to do, and we have a mission. And it's not about ignoring that there's stuff going on. It's not about being like in La La Land and like talking to aliens and like talking, like it is not. It is on a soul level, like we are here with a mission. Each and every one of us have a role, and we have to wake up, remember who we are, and we are here to do that. That's what we need to be doing.
Right. And so funny. I've seen so many other people be like, can someone airlift me to a different planet?
Yeah, I've tried. They're like, no,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
not
They're
gonna
like, now you're
happen.
stuck here. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think like to your point in the beginning, like you were talking about like making space
Hmm.
to like create to be able to receive, and I think on individual levels we have to do that, and there are different ways to do that, but collectively I think that's what's happening. It's just not a one felt swoop, like where it's just going to happen. It's just happening in these little things, and I'm not saying anybody deserved to die, but I think you're seeing this negativity and this violence because we collectively need to come to a place where we say like this isn't okay, and we become sensitized to it again and get our humanity back, and in some way it's creating space for us to get back into our bodies,
Right.
and I feel like it's this dissociation on such a
Hmm.
mass collective level that we need to get back in, and it's almost like knocking at the door. It's like when you get an illness because you've been
Hmm.
ignoring like the signs, and your body being like, hey, you need to treat yourself better. You need
Right.
to rest,
Right.
and it's just like if you aren't going to do it, we're going to give you something,
Right.
so I feel like it's just like this knock at the door, like, hey guys, you need to pay attention. You need to get back in your bodies. You need to like understand what humanity is and love is and respect is and diversity of thought is,
Right.
like
Right.
we are all meant to like disagree. That is a beautiful thing actually, because beautiful ideas come from that. You don't have to like what someone's saying. You can find it offensive, but your feelings don't make it your feelings being hurt don't make it okay to go take someone's life. And
No.
and if our whole understanding of being here is to see what life is about, this isn't it.
Right. Right. And I do think that there's also part of this mission that is being ignored as well, is like the connection with Earth and also like, our planet. Like we are here on this planet and we are not treating it with the respect that it deserves. And like there's also an up leveling of Earth that's occurring, right? So I think that's also why when we talk
Yeah.
about the Schumann resonance and everyone's like, it's going, everyone as in me, is like, it's going crazy, it's going nuts. The Earth is having a seizure, and so am I. But like, like all these crazy
Right.
things, right? Like that is because like the earth has also had enough. Like the earth is like, get
Yeah.
off of me. Like you guys are literally ridiculous. Like get off of my face. Like I'm done with
Right.
you. People like
Right.
spitting on me and being ridiculous. And so I just think that there's so many layers to this. And, when I think of making space too, I think the fall is a perfect time. To me,
Yeah.
it's like sharpening the pencils. Like, I know people are very into spring cleaning. Fall to me is like fresh start. I think also because it's our birthdays. So it's like, for me, it's always the start of a new
Right.
year, is like fall, new school year,
Right.
new year. And I think about like the idea of cleaning out a closet, like cleaning out your energy space, right? So like if you
Right.
are trying to like shift things, or you're trying to like be the way I'm looking at it is like be a vessel for this higher frequency energy for others, right? Like we're trying to hold that space for others. We have to clear our space and take care of our vessel, take care of our space and clear it. So we got to clear some of the gooky stuff. We got to take care of our vessel, our space, and that is stuff like nutrition, and it's cleaning out the closet, it's cleaning out our energy space, because you can't fit any more stuff in and you can't hold anybody else's stuff if your closet's overflowing with a bunch of crap from the past few
Right.
years.
Absolutely. And you should have been Jewish because Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, September,
I know.
fall. Yom Kippur is that you're like atoning, you're getting out all the stuff that
Hmm.
you've been carrying. Like you have the day where you like absolve your sins and you say, okay, I could do better here. And it's almost
Mhm.
like an internal cleaning. So we could
Mhm.
do the external of like,
Yep.
where can I declutter my life? What don't I need anymore? Where
Yep.
can I make space? We have this Rosh Hashanah. We're going to start a sweet new year. That's why we have apples and honey,
I
and,
love that.
um, and then we have this like inner cleansing, and
Mm.
I kind of love that about
Yeah.
this, about
I'm an
being Jewish.
honorary.
You're an
I feel like I'm
honorary.
an honorary. Like, I feel like in a past life, I was definitely
You have a Jewish
Jewish.
soul.
I
That's what
do.
it is.
I really do.
Well, well, that's what they say about people who, because it's very hard to convert. Like they make it that way on purpose because it's not a universalizing religion like Islam or Christianity. It's like you're basically getting like, oh, I want to say abducted, but that's the wrong word.
It's terrible.
Uh, Inducted. That's what it was,
Mhm.
into a tribe, right?
Mm.
So, but they say everybody who is a convert has a Jewish soul,
Mm.
and I love that. And it's just like, that's why you're randomly like called to it, and
Yeah.
I'm not even like super religious. I grew up more so, but like everything that I take from it, I'm like, oh my God, like spiritually, I feel like it makes so much sense,
Yeah.
and it's so aligned in that way. And I just love that because I think like we do need to do that yearly.
Mhm.
And people do that in the new year, like in January. You see an influx of people at the gym. You see people coming to therapy. You see people like, I want to redo my life. And I feel like
Yeah.
for us, like it's fall,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we get a new lease on life. I love the sharpening the pencils because it was like back to school, you
Mhm.
know. And think about a new school year. It's a clean slate. You get to
Yeah.
start, you get to learn, you get to be on this adventure. And we have to do that, like, I think more than yearly, to be honest.
Mhm.
But I think it's just like having a check-in, but I feel like this is the grand one where we
Mhm.
can clear stuff out so that we can bring new stuff in. And especially this like eclipse season,
Mhm.
and this year has been just like one thing after the another, one thing after another. Yes, here, but like cosmically too.
Yeah, it's a shit show. It's been an
Yeah.
absolute shit show, but I do think, yeah, I think it's a clearing. And yeah, every season, I think you can, kind of do them, but I do like the idea. And, everyone's kind of in this place of, don't manifest on, during eclipse
Right.
season and all this stuff. I don't give a shit. Here's what my thoughts
Yeah.
are. And this is like what Josh Hume came through and said. Like, you build your own reality. So do what you want to do what you feel called to do. If you want to clean stuff out, clear stuff out. If you want to call things in, you call things in. It is what you build it, it's what you make it. The thing that is with the astrology and the stars and cosmically, all that stuff, it's a guide. It gives you a little bit more energy. Like everyone was going crazy because yesterday or the day before was 999. I Do you think that the universe cares that it's 999? They're like, okay, on this day is great. You're going to get what you want. No, guys, it doesn't matter. Okay. But if you believe today is 999 and whatever I manifest today, I'm going to get, you're putting that energy, you're creating that, you're making that true. So then it's going to be true. But it's not that that already was true. It's that you made that true.
Well, also, I mean, it's a little bit of BS in my opinion because our what are we on, the Gregorian calendar?
Mm-hmm.
It's relatively new. Like that, like ancient civilizations didn't go by this calendar, so there wasn't a 999, like,
Right, right. But and same thing
yeah.
with the full moon and stuff. Like we don't even know
Right.
what's real and what's not. And that's kind of like what Josh Yoon was saying. He was kind of like, there's way more to this story. But basically
Yeah.
being like, if you feel like, the full moon is going to cause you to feel a certain way, or you feel like with the full moon you're going to be able to manifest, then that is what is going to happen. And it's the same thing with this during
Right.
eclipse season. So like if you feel like what feels best to you right now is to clear everything out and to really start fresh, then that is what you do because you have the ability to create your own reality, build your own reality, and for right now with the weather getting crisp and like, it really does feel like that fall fresh moment. And I just love the idea of just like, yeah, this year has been a shit show. Let's wipe the slate clean. Let's make some room for some new
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yes. And you can believe whatever you want, but don't I guess count on it. Like don't give it more like energy than it's worth. I think it's just a tool to support you. Like you could do that at any time. Today, if you had that belief that 9/11 is a bad example, but
Is today 9/11? Oh my God, today's
yeah.
9/11. Jesus.
Yeah. Um it's a it's a bad date to use, but let's say it had significant meaning. You could think of it as a tower moment. Maybe that's what it is, and all destruction comes down, but then you start anew.
Hmm.
Whatever that is, if that's what you believe in, that's totally fine. But it's the work you do in on that day that actually makes it happen. It's not the day itself,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And I think there is this like benefit to clearing out because you can't like I think you said like if there's a closet that's really full and you want something new, you have to clear it out so you make room for it.
Right.
And I think people do that with emotions too, is they stockpile emotions, and this came up with clients this week, is they prioritize other people's emotions because like they just stockpile theirs. They've learned to do that. But then all of a sudden you have this explosion that you
Hmm.
didn't want, that you didn't control because you never made room for it, right?
Right.
You didn't let go, have an outlet for your emotions.
Hmm.
You just kept them in this little closet inside you, and finally the closet got too big and the doors burst open and you didn't
Right.
have control over how it came out, right?
Right.
So you have to use that kind of metaphor for other things in your life. Is like if you don't have room for the things you want, what can you clear out?
Right. Right. And I also think too, like, going back to what we were saying in the beginning, like, there's also this idea of like we were saying, like your mission and all of the trauma that's going on in the world. It's the idea of putting your mask on before you put on somebody else's mask, right? So,
Yes.
like, you're making space, yes, for your own things to come in, for your
Hmm.
own energy, for your own emotions. But then most of us that are doing soul led work, I think a lot of us are here to help other people. And that's what we want to do. And guess what? We can't do that unless we, A, have the space, and B, have helped ourselves first, right? Like we have to be in a good place. Like you cannot pour from an empty cup. So you have to make that space, A, for yourself. And then also, you have to have that space for other people. Like you can't be a practitioner and your calendar is so full with all a bunch of stuff and then you're like, I want more clients. Where are they going to be? Where are you
Right.
going to put them? Clear your schedule, make it, like even if you don't know where those clients are going to come from, make room on your calendar, make space so that you can have space to help more people. That's also what I mean. Like if we're here to help ourselves, but also make space to help other people.
Right. And where can you make space in your life for yourself?
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know, because I think like, and maybe that's also been the theme, is like everybody's doing things for everybody else,
Yeah.
especially if you're like a healer, if you're here to awaken, if you're
Hmm.
a light being, like your entire life is like, I want to help other people. But like, where in there are you talking about yourself? And you need to make
Hmm.
room for that. So you maybe need to say no to something
Hmm.
that, and you might feel awkward because it's unfamiliar, but it doesn't mean it's not the right thing for you to do. And you need to do something intentional for yourself, because just like you said, like you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to refill it in some.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Making space for your own stuff, like putting time on your calendar for you, like schedule those things. Like, Beth was saying in the last episode about, taking that time every morning to go outside and do, a few minutes of your meditation and letting the sun come into your eyes. Like, I think that's so important of like having that
Mhm.
routine, having something that you do. And, we had talked about, you and I talked about yesterday, not on the podcast, but like for me, I really need to be channeling. When I channel, I feel so much better. And we had just had a conversation about that. And so now I'm trying to figure out, like, how can I make room in my life, in my schedule, for me to channel more for myself. And the more that I channel for myself, the more that I then can channel for other people and channel it through, because it allows me to be in a better space. But it's first and foremost, where is the space in my life that I can do that for myself because it feels good?
Right. Right. And it's not only that you feel good, you feel bad, you said, when you don't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I feel physically ill when I don't channel. Like if I am not channeling for a long period of time, like I physically don't feel good. And I only just noticed it like over the weekend. Like I've just recently now realized it. Like I've noticed that now, like what's happening. And I told you yesterday, like Daryl Inca has said this about Bashar. Like he took years off to go be a director or something. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to like go direct
Mhm.
movies or like write movies or something. And he was like, I was physically like, he felt like shit. Like he was like, I felt terrible. And he said when he started channeling again, it felt like coming home.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
But he
wild.
had to probably make room for that. And then at the time that, like, Bashar was like, "You gotta do this,"
Yeah.
it probably was like a knock on the door again. It's like, "Hey, if you're not gonna listen, like, I'm going to make you listen."
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, the message is going to come through regardless. And, we talk about the voice in your head, it's like I have my voice and then like, I also have that other pathway that's like Josh Yoon. If I like need to access him, it's like I have
Yeah.
multiple pathways. So, it's kind of like funny, but yeah, like, making that space. And you had said to me, why did you stop? And I was like, because I was so busy working on the platform and it had nothing to do with anything but just not making enough room to do it.
Right. And look what came through when you actually did.
Mhm. Yeah. Like it was, a really good message and I felt so great, so energized and such a strong message came through, about so many things and it's so enlightening and it's so powerful. I just think, my thing for everyone is like, yeah, take a look at the spaces and it could be physical. It could be
Mhm.
like, where can I eat a little bit better? Where can I, cut back on some things that maybe don't make me feel so great, where I can make some space? Is there a closet that I can clean out, like a physical closet that I can make more space
Right.
for maybe some clothes that I like, maybe get rid of some things I don't like, maybe even where is there a room in the house that I can make my own, or a desk or whatever it is, it could be literally anything, but just think about like where you can make more space and I do think that that's like step one. Two, really then being that version of you that is able to hold space for what's happening in the world. Cause I do think like that's all valid too, but
Yeah.
it's like we have to be the people, the light beings that like we need to be in order to help others. Like we can't do that if we're not okay.
And something just came to me, and I think it's about frequency. And
Hmm.
when you're clearing things out, it's like, what is not at your frequency anymore? Right. And it
Mm-hmm.
could be thoughts, it could be habits, it could be food, it could be clothing, it could be products you use,
People.
people. Exactly. And I really think it's about alignment and getting in alignment with the frequency of where you at and where you want to be,
Hmm.
and the idea is to raise your frequency, right? So we
Hmm.
could be at this like highest vibration where
Hmm. Yeah.
love, light, like we're really
Yeah.
helping people. And I think that's the purpose of clearing out is there are things that are a mismatch right now and they're just like bringing you down,
Yeah.
or they're just using up room, and that's why you feel off. That's why something doesn't fit right. That's why like a food isn't agreeing with you. It's like
Yeah.
that's also like a clearing out, because you need to have the
Mhm.
frequency match, because like attracts like. And that's what makes it stronger and raises your vibration. So I think even just on that level, it's something to do to help you feel your best.
Yeah. Yeah. And Beth just explained exactly the reason why I created frequency
Right.
RX. Exactly the reason. That's exactly
There
what
you
it
go.
is matching your frequency. And I also just want to say too, like, noticing when things don't match and being accepting that. Like I think recently, like I've really been like thinking about like, my husband always records my shows for me and like for always, like I always love all the Bravo shows. And recently, like I
Mhm.
just haven't been into watching the Housewife shows. And I think it's not that I don't like that I'm like, oh, I'm so much better. That it has nothing to do with that. It's just I'm not on the frequency of listening to people fight. Like
Right.
I have no bandwidth for it. Like it's not what I want to be watching. And so like he's like, oh, you're not watching them. Well, I'm recording them for you. Like, why aren't you? And I'm like, I just have no interest right now. And I just, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, well, I'm not the person I think I was anymore. Like, just don't beat yourself up about it. Like, if you don't feel like you
Right.
might come back to something, but like, when something isn't your frequency, like, like you're just like, I don't feel like doing this, or I'm not into this, or like it's
Right.
just not vibing with me. And that's okay.
Right. And that's because your frequency changes. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's like not appealing to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being good or bad. It's just not the right fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Exactly. So, it's changing all the time, but that is how we raise our frequency and that is how we, become a higher frequency. And that is how our physical matches the higher frequencies that are coming in. So, like, it really is how we bridge that jet lag of the higher frequencies coming in when we're doing, sound meditations or when we are receiving the higher frequencies coming in from the higher beings and we feel horrible, it's because our physical is lagging. So the more that we consume higher frequency foods, the more that we listen to higher frequencies, we meditate, the more that we do put on higher frequency clothing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? That's how we bridge the gap. So exactly what you said. And that's how we become the frequencies that are coming in. And that's how we begin to feel better. And we like are really, and then we are attracting higher frequency things into our life. And then we really are living that higher frequency existence. And that's really what we're aiming to do. And that's the journey of living a higher vibrational life. And, it's not just like a one and done, it's really your whole life you're
Right.
doing that.
Well, I think that's how you stay present, you
Hmm.
know, is like
Yeah.
getting in alignment. Is
Hmm.
if you're not, that's probably a reason why people dissociate because like you're having like different frequencies where like
Yeah.
what is going on? It's and it bothers you, and then you're just like, why do I feel so like not here? And then
Yeah.
when things are like matching and on the same frequency, you can be present because you're not distracted. It's almost like distractions.
Yeah, and I think that that's like, I mean, we could go into like a whole other thing, but like I feel like that's also why there is so much mental illness. Is like I think that like some of the frequencies go super duper fast, and I think that it like really like messes
Right.
people up, and like that's what's come in from some of the higher beings, like about some of the things going on. Like there's so much more than we see, and I just feel like we're just going to learn more and more as we kind of like peel this stuff back. And just one last thing that Josh Shunan said, like the reason why we don't know all of these things is because it would be way too much information for us. So we
Yeah.
are learning it in bits and pieces. And I think that that's really cool too, because we are just finding it out. So that being present is also like learning and just kind of
Mhm.
taking bits and pieces and sort of like looking at them and saying, okay, like this matches right now, or this is what I know. And applying it and then just like continuing on. And I think that that's how we grow, and it's so interesting. So I'm just grateful that we're on this journey together.
Right. Absolutely. Me too. And if you think about it, that's why, like social media, for example, and just like exposure to things is so, I think we're missing like the lessons in there. We're missing and desensitized to it because imagine if you had school all at once. Like you learned
Hmm.
everything at once. You
Yeah.
wouldn't it's like you would take a fraction of it, right? We
Hmm.
already take a fraction of it cuz our brains only retain a certain amount, but
Exactly.
you're learning in bits, and I think that's so true what Josh Yoon said is like you need to get these things in little pieces, and when you're on social media, when you're watching the news, it's all coming at you at
Mm-hmm.
once. It's not little bits. So I could see how that would lead to mental illness. I could see how people aren't getting the message out.
Yeah.
It's just easier to turn off because it's just too much,
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
way too much. Yeah.
And one thing I remember, I don't know why this stuck with me forever, but they said that you're supposed to stare at a wall for like 15 minutes a day to let your brain like decompress and
Oh.
just like have this outlet. Like you need to not be stimulated constantly.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, that makes
And maybe
sense.
that's making space as well for
Yeah.
new information to come through.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could stare at like a tree or something better than a wall. But I guess
Absolutely. But I guess like a wall, there wouldn't be
like
a squirrel
nothing.
crawling
Yeah,
up it.
true,
There,
true.
you
There's
know,
like
like
no sounds. Yeah.
there's no
That's valid.
distraction,
Yeah.
they're not like, oh, like just to stare at a wall. It's like you want no distractions, you want to just have peace
Yeah.
and like and nothing coming at you or triggering you or stimulating you. So it's really like that. It's like a blank slate. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's like what meditation is really,
Yeah.
but your thoughts can be distracting, but I guess they can be if you're staring at a wall too.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, I love that. And like, again, this is not easy. This is not, level 1 stuff that we're talking about here. This is really tough stuff and, it seems super easy, but it's not when you're living it. And so, I'll say again, as I always do, that's what we're here for. Come work with us in our container, work with both of us, work with one of us. That is why my membership platform is there. It is to literally like have those bits and pieces of frequency to raise your frequency so you can live a high vibrational life. That is like literally why it exists. So thank you, Beth, for that plug. But if you need deeper support, more personal support, you come work in our container or you work with one or both of us, and we're here for that. And that's what our podcast is for as well, so that you have accessible information, and we're here to make space for you.
exactly. We're here to take it step by step with you. And, we hope that this is helping and you're getting some information from it. But thank you for listening and stay tuned for our next episode. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.